Alright everybody, welcome back to another Stormgate cast. I'm Algorithmore, and this is going to be another cast featuring my buddy Dutchy on another one of his new accounts here. This one is the Miasma Abuser. He really loves it in the new patch, and I think that's this name alone probably is testament to the fact that it's probably going to get tuned down again in the next patch. But his opponent in this game here on Isle of Dread is going to be the Red Celestial player here, Neoy. And I don't think I've cast a Neoy game yet, but I do recognize the name. I think he's been up at the top of the ladder for a while. And let's see what he can bring here. As I said, on Isle of Dread here, opening with the new Celestial Eco, the new, I guess, since the new Celestial Eco was overtuned, and now we're back. Sorry, that bug has not yet been found or fixed, which is interesting since it's quite an old one. But yeah, we'll see how the Celestial players are trying to adjust to this new eco. It might be, too slow for them. I mean, the old one was certainly too fast, and they were able to get maxed out very quickly, especially Aurel Stormgate mentioning he was able to max up in about 6 minutes. That seems a little bit overtuned, but now maybe it's undertuned. We don't know yet. And Celestial players are still trying to figure out how do they get their economy ramped up while still having, units to creep with, units to defend with, or maybe even units to add pressure with. So I think that will be an interesting part of this game as it continues through early access, as we see Celestial players keep trying to figure out what are the interesting nuances of this faction. Now, our Miasma Abuser here, that is Dutchy, moved out with his Hexen and was able to steal. I'm not sure if he stole the creeps, but he did get two. I think he got at least one of the creeps, and it looks like he got 2 fiends out of those creeps. So doing a pretty good job of a little bit of harass early on, just stealing a little bit of that income, and maybe just trying to get a little nugget ahead. Now, one thing we'll notice here also from Neoy is Neoy did open with an earlier creation chamber before the third array, and that might just be the build now with the new eco. But it's also interesting to see that he did go for a third prism really quickly there off the bat, possibly first thing, and is already saturating these bases with prisms as well. So certainly the meta has changed a little, at least for Neoy, to do more prisms, and that was the intention of this eco change. So far so good. What do we got coming out here from Dutchy, our Miasma Abuser again? He's got Gaunts, so that's not too much of Miasma Abuse yet. They don't have their Plague Axes. We do see a Ritual Chamber here. Another third base going down at the double Luminite. Nothing else back in the main, so all his tech right now is in the natural, and I don't see either of them upgrading yet. So no Greater Shrine on the way. It's Gaunt creeping, and maybe I'll grab the ritual, see what we're working on. We're working on a Plague Axis for Dutchy. And what's going on here for Neoy? We have our first Argents out. We got a Morph Core going for a 4th array, so this is definitely going to be a kind of standard Celestial. Let's get a lot of bases up. Let's get a lot of income. But what I think is kind of cool about this is, again, this is 3 saturated bases now. And for even, before the eco patches, you would never have had 4 or 3 saturated bases with a 4th base on the way at the 4-minute mark, especially for Celestial, because you would have needed 6 arrays in the normal meta to be at that point. Now, if you are a Rail Stormgate and you're watching, then hey, Rail, nice to see you. But if you're a Rail Stormgate, you might be up to six collection arrays by the 4-minute mark, but I don't think that was a pretty standard build for most folks. So we'll see how this plays out. I do like that we are seeing the Celestial players still being able to ramp up pretty quickly while maintaining some Argents. Is that Argent Force going to be able to keep up with this many Gaunts? I don't know. So I don't know if there will be needing more tuning to go down. It kind of looks like the Gaunt Force here is stronger. But the Gaunts have turned to fight this creep camp here. As is somewhat standard on an Isle of Dread game, we're seeing a lot of creep moving out. Both players trying to stick to their side of the map. Oh, but we do see a skull coming out to take that camp. So I have to say I am a little bit disappointed at this point from our miasma abuser, who so far is just going straight Gaunt. Now this is a nice engage with that nice Nightfall infestation, and now also an effigy going down. Oh, look at that one Gaunt come to pick it out. So good job, Neoy, with that micro. That one Argent, sorry, not Gaunt, does get taken out. But it was only one Gaunt, or one Argent that gets taken out as a cost for that effigy. Did that really get him a lot in that engage? Not so much, I don't think. But I do like to see that kind of micro on display. And wow, these speedy looking Gaunts. Okay, I'm like, do they have their Reaper's Rush already? And they do. How are they moving around so fast? Did they speed up the game? No, they didn't. These are upgraded Gaunts. And more Gaunts. So this is not a miasma abuse at all. This is going to be Reaper's Rush and Plague Axe abuse. And they're going to move out on top of these Argents and see what we can get. Oh, they do snipe a Morph Core here, and there is a single Saber back there. And honestly, this is where the Gaunts are going to start to become weaker. The splash damage from the Sabers that do that nice kind of T-shaped splash. Look at that mass acceleration to get the Saber out of the damage here. Very nice surround from Dutchy, and there's just too many Fiends now. Actually, this could spell the end right now for Neoy. These got but there is one Sovereign's Watch going down. I think that's going to be enough to make Dutchy want to retreat. Honestly, I think he may have been able to do something there. There were a lot of Gaunts. Now, Gaunts aren't the best in terms of doing DPS to buildings. And when you have a Sovereign's Watch on a Creation Chamber here, 1,000 hit points, that's a real tanky tower to take down. And we did see also 2 Sabers pop out quite soon after Dutchy retreated. So maybe he's been thinking better than I am. Look at how many more Gaunts he's able to bring out, though. This economy is a little bit out of control. Both of them here at the 8-minute mark starting to float a bit. And, well, we did see Dutchy spend quite a bit there. And I think that is also just adjusting to the new eco, the fact that you need a lot more production than we were building before the eco patch. And it's just, how many buildings do we really need to keep up with that, the macro that we're coming in now for, in this case, 4 Luminites being mined. And we're almost up to 4 Luminite fully saturated here as well. Some Fiends looking for bases here, and it's creeping. Now we're starting to see more Hexes be added. They still don't have tooltips here telling me if they are upgraded or not, and I can't even go to the ritual chamber. There we go, just in time to catch the end of the master training to see that indeed we now have miasma. So the abuse can begin. We may get some of what was advertised. So many debuffs going down on those Gaunts. That's kind of yuck. Of course, the debuff's just armor debuff. It's not doing damage or anything. It's just my normal game sense instinct is just like, yuck. And they're moving out, so don't want to engage with that on. But we're seeing a lot of Venom Traps going down. And what's this? Another Skull just scouting. Dutchy can be really good with his scouting skulls to get vision. And, you know, do not underestimate scouting. Scouting is, in fact, one of the most important tools in this game. If you know what your opponent's up to and you know where their army is, as much as possible, you're doing good. If you know how many bases they're on, you know what tech they're on. So these Fiends also, they were on patrol there, scouting for bases. Also getting information about where these units are. What's this? Another Skull. And all this time, Dutchy's just been able to creep. He knows he's safe to continue doing that. Now, with these poor Gaunts trying to cram their way in the back there. But yeah, he knows that he's safe as long as he's got good scouting. Now here are some... These Shroud Stones are going to go down. A couple of miasmas there opening, just zoning these units back. And now we'll see how this works. We do have, again, some miasmas going down, but the Argents sort of deftly step away from it. Again, some miasma, but now the Argents stand in it. Note they back up as more miasmas get cast. And this is not ideal. So the Argents are pushing forward now. They do snipe a couple Hex in there. But look how low they are. Ooh. Was that infest damage killing a few of them? It looked like, and then some fiends pop out. They're so low. We really need to see Neoy bring an arc ship forward. This is Arc Station. No new arc ships. That's unfortunate. That is one thing that I think has changed in the new meta is you have no longer a need to build additional arc ships. Of course, additional arc ships are still useful for things like having a forward one to cast healing and things like that. But you don't need them for that extra prism production, which is what some folks were doing pre the recent change. Now, of course, prisms being produced by your collection arrays, you have ample prism production now. Probably more worker production than any other faction. And still with less need of workers. Now, this is an interesting... We've got Spriggans here. Ooh, they're getting melted quite a bit. So they get pulled back. So actually this is working out alright for Neoy right now. Nice miasmas. A lot of Argents getting caught in that. But the Sabers in the back just doing some really sick damage. A couple Magmadons have joined here. But there's so many Sabers here that they are being able to melt any units, sort of one-shotting a line of Gaunts or maybe getting a real good hit on a Mag. More Spriggans being added, and I think they're going to want to be added to the actual army comp here so that they can maybe fly on top of the Argents, do some tanking if they need to, but also snipe some Sabers. Those slow-moving Sabers have now, unfortunately, reversed their position. They're kind of in the front of the army now, instead of the back where you want them. And the Spriggans flying above. Now, this is not going to be good. Hanging out in the healing, of course, that's really good for those Argents that were all low. But now they're pushing forward. And this does not look like a fight that Neoy wants to take. He is sort of, I think, just on auto attack here. No micro. And all those units just got taken out there. That was definitely good for Dutchy. Dutchy is still only a little bit ahead in supply, so I'm not sure what that says. What are we seeing? We're seeing Archangels being popped out now. Really interesting. Only being about 10 ahead in supply. Now, they're both banking a lot. And again, this is testament to this new economy. I think it's just a little too fast. Or at least a little too fast that the meta hasn't caught up yet. How many more production buildings would they need to be able to spend this income as well? Maybe only one or two. Maybe that's it. This is just a meta thing that needs to be adjusted. And it looks like it is Dutchy who's doing a better job of spending them, and that might be the tale of the game. He's got a little hit squad out here. This is interesting. He's kind of split his forces into a bunch of different forces. Spriggans over here. There is a base here, and these are strike nodes. The graphics are still not really very expressive here. I can't tell them apart. I think blast nodes have a slightly different hexagonal shape around them, but again, it's hard for me to tell without clicking. In any case, they get taken out pretty easily with this Air Force, and we are seeing, here come some Argents that are going to fight into this. It's a smaller force. There are Archangels there too, narrowly dodging these mines. Is this the whole force? This is not a very large force for Neoy, even though the supply, maybe it's the way that workers and arrays work. I can't remember what their supply numbers are. I know there's something special. Here's an array flying out to try and maybe take this base. It's already a base there for Dutchy. Now Dutchy is engaging. The Archangels are up here. They're trying to fight the Spriggans and the Dragon head on. That can be an okay matchup, but the Archangels, there's just too few of them. And the ground forces are getting overrun here. And that is going to be a GG out of Neoy and a good match from Dutchy.